Hello and welcome to a new episode of the Sovereign Society podcast. I'm super excited because I've got Erin Stutland here and she just released her newest book, Mantras in Motion. Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
Accomplishment, and the book writing process it takes time and it takes commitment and focus. And I would love to hear how that whole experience was for you.
It's a journey. I mean, the reality is this is information, content that I've been teaching and learning and digesting and tinkering with for the past, 10 plus years. So it is interesting to take all of that content and distill it down to, as much as 60,000 words sounds like a lot. It's like, how do you take the best of what you've been teaching and learning over the past 10 plus years? And so I had been working on some of the concepts and ended up getting a book deal right when I found out that I was pregnant. And so I was growing a human and writing a book at the same time. So it was a pretty amazing process, to say the least.
Well, it's amazing because you're also a Gemini, so it's like you could have the two.
Totally.
The two going on. You have the birth of the baby and the birth of your other baby of your book.
Exactly.
I love fellow Gemini sisters, and it's interesting because, as Geminis, we are so in the air. We're like multi-passionate and we can be all over the spectrum. So how have you found yourself really capable and able to get grounded to get shit done now, especially mom on top of?
Yeah, I certainly, have experienced many levels of not getting shit done. My background was, I was an artist, as a dancer and an actor. And, there were many, many years in there that felt as though I was kind of spinning my wheels, having, ideas and wanting to create things and sort of feeling like I was spinning my wheels. And it really was when I started to implement a lot of this work, obviously, that I teach in Mantras in Motion, of how to take some of these really powerful concepts that we learn. We learn them if you're in the live your best life space, or you're looking to live your best life, or in the wellness space, or you're looking to kind of heal certain things in your life. This information is very intellectual. You read the books, you've got it. But, I was reading the books, but for whatever reason, the concepts weren't landing in my body. And it's when I really started to take some of these concepts and put them into motion and use what I knew from dance and from acting and from performing. And how do you get these concepts? How do I help other people who, are not performers or not dancers? How do I help them get some of these really powerful concepts into their body, so that there's really no space for negativity to exist through movement?
Yeah, what's interesting, what came through when you were saying that, is I feel like there's so many people, myself included, who are serial course takers. We keep taking all of these, especially in the world of wellness, or if you're growing as a wellness entrepreneur, you're taking all these courses and different things, and it's not going to work if you don't embody it. And it's not going to work if you're actually like you said, taking the concepts. You can be committed to doing the work and doing all the worksheets and watching all the videos, but then it's the next piece is taking it into action. That's the key to manifestation, right? It's people think, oh, I want this, and then it comes like this. It's no, it's the action and the movement that really allows the manifestation to come into fruition.
Yeah, and I think people don't realize how, I can't remember the exact number, but let's say we think 90,000 thoughts a day, and 75% of those thoughts are the same thoughts we thought the day before. So we don't realize how ingrained our thinking and being is. And so when you want to create something or manifest something new in your life, it is going to require that you think and be in a way that you've never been before. And so it requires more than just thinking about it. It requires that you really create change on a cellular level. Otherwise, it won't happen. And that's really what I hope to help people achieve.
Yeah, and I think a part of that is also making that space by I am a huge advocate of the importance of doing trauma work and shadow work in order to clear out, to make space that you can bring the new in, because what it is you're manifesting is a level up of your human experience. So you have to be able to cultivate that space through doing the work.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. And you have to through that healing of the trauma, like you mentioned, or through the shadow work, like you have to go into it. You have to get into, what are the beliefs that you have formed as a result of a trauma, or as a result of your upbringing? What are the things that you believe about yourself and about the world? And how do you, uproot those beliefs, and then not just uproot them, but plant new, more powerful beliefs.
Mm-hmm.
And get those new, so uproot it and then get the new, more powerful beliefs replanted into your body as well.
And then part of that nourishment of the soil is like by moving your body so that you're moving and shifting that cellular memory. I know for me, like growing up with a lot of depression, there was a point where like I hated exercise, like I hated doing it, but it wasn't until I found the thing that I loved, which was yoga and Pilates, that I started to like actually enjoy working out, because I could see like, oh yeah, my body's up leveling because I'm bringing my body to the version of me I see myself being, as embodying what it is I'm manifesting. And I know you teach
right.
a lot about that too, with like exercising and helping us like really get out of that mindset that like exercising is like a punishment, and seeing it more as an opportunity to like love and nourish and honor yourself.
Yeah, that's right. And I think things are really, I'm happy to say and to report that I believe that things are really starting to shift, particularly in even the fitness industry. When I started teaching in the fitness industry, it was, and this is why I created what I created. Again, this is 10 years ago, that, the conversations that you were hearing in fitness classes was about like, you got to burn the calories from the pizza you ate last night, and you got to get the 6-pack abs and the buns of steel, or whatever it was. And, coming from a background of dance, at the time when I stopped dancing professionally, I was doing yoga, and then I was doing fitness classes. And what I loved about the yoga was the connection, was the breath, was the intention. But what for me was missing in yoga was like the joy, the playfulness, the choreography, the music, the like funky music, the stuff that like what the dancer in me, I wasn't getting that. Then I would go to the fitness classes and I wasn't getting any of the stuff that was so delicious from yoga, because it was all this conversation around body and, and punishment. And I really wanted to create something that was about moving your body in a fun and joyful way, and that it had nothing to do with your body's transformation. Although that is a side effect, as I'm sure you've experienced as well, is when you start to move your body from a place of joy, and you actually like what you're doing, and you find empowering thoughts through your movement, you first and foremost, in each individual workout or movement session, you will be able to go longer because you are enjoying it. And furthermore, you will want to keep coming back to it because you are enjoying it.
Mm-hmm.
And this is when your body will actually change. You always hear people say like, I wasn't even trying and I lost 30 pounds. Well, that's because they found joy and began to trust their bodies through a process. And that's, I believe, like the greatest kind of transformation you can possibly have.
Yeah. And what a lot of people don't even understand too, is that the body is actually one muscle, and that how it's all interconnected. So a lot of even that trauma or that pain is stored in our cellular memory. So then, you can be working out one thing and it can be triggering a whole other thing that can be really transmuting those lower frequencies, and are really vulnerable spaces. So it's really interesting to also hear the conversation and deeper sense of awareness, thanks to technology, about how the body works. And I'm hearing more and more people talk about like the fascia, and like a lot of empaths and stuff are really being, it's like being recommended, like you need to go get a fascia massage, because that's where that thin layer that's covering the whole body, where all of the shit is just being stored.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. You gotta get in there. It's, to create real change in your life is more than just an intellectual process.
Mm-hmm. So I also want to talk because, okay, so you have the book, you have this new baby, you run a business. Like, what are you doing right now to find that balance and to take care of like slaying your business, taking care of the self-care, and being present with your new baby? Like, how are you finding all of this balancing act in motion right now?
It's in all honesty, it's not easy. It's really not. It's hard, and it's different every day. So, for me, my priority right now is her. And time spent with her, connection with her, make sure that she's nurtured and cared for. And so that's my priority. And then everything kind of flows out of that at the moment. Obviously my own self-care has risen up on the priority scale. I think the first year of motherhood, it's like, self-care, what's that? Like, it's so hard to squeeze in. You squeeze in, 5 minutes here and there. And I am an advocate for squeezing in those 5 minutes here and there, but it takes, for me, it took almost a year, like about 9 months to kind of come back to myself after having a baby, of like, oh, right, there I am. Who is that? Like, who am I now? And who am I emerging as a mother? And, I'm still emerging now. My daughter is almost 14 months, and, you're still like emerging and discovering yourself. And then it also reflects in your business. Who am I now in this business? What is it that I want to say? What's important to me? What do I want to teach? What do I need to learn? How much time do I want to spend working on my business? And I certainly don't have all of the answers, but I know for me, this year coming up, 2019, is really about streamlining everything in my life as much as possible, because I think, as a mother, you like time, the idea of having, like, I think about before I had a kid, I'm like, what the hell was I doing with all my time? You have a lot more time and sometimes you waste time, which is absolutely okay when you don't have it. Like you have a lot more time to kind of just like dick around a little bit, which is great. Like you should. You don't need to be doing stuff all the time, but you have like zero of that. You have zero time to I find like very little time to have this idea, like this sense of like flow in your life. When you don't have responsibility, you kind of be like, well, I've got, I don't know, an hour. I'm just going to see where the hour takes me. That was sort of how I lived before. I can't do that now. I have to be much more strategic about what I do with my time. So it's about streamlining and simplifying and getting really clear on my yeses and very clear on my nos, so that I do have time for self-care, because I think it's really, really important.
Yeah. And then when you create that structure too, that's how you allow the energy or the creativity to flow too. And a lot of people don't really understand that, but I feel like it's also been a lot more of the conversation that's happening right now. Is like people are really understanding like, oh yeah, I need to actually set this time to like do this, like bulk content, or what can we do to really like make the most of our time? Because I also see like there's a wave of people not really wanting to be on social media or their computers as much, because as you said with your daughter, like I think we as a society are craving presence. And I think for so many years, like you walk down the street and everyone's on their damn phone, or you walk and like people are at dinner and they're all talking on their phone. And I think there's a huge shift that's happening right now. Like I just did a 40-day social media sabbatical. And with that, it's like been really challenging for me to even want to be on social media.
It's great.
Because it taught me like it takes 40 days to shift the subconscious, which is also formed between the ages of 0 and 7. So your daughter is watching all of your habits now, and she's feeling into that energy, and it's setting that. So I think this is kind of the conversation that we're having, because this is how we're setting precedent for the generations to come, because technology is still relatively new in the wellness field, in life as it is. And so we're still trying to figure out that balance with technology and presence as well, and work and health.
Yeah. And it's, it's not easy. I really commend you for taking that time. I hope that, what you say is true and correct, that people are really, that there is this wave. I know for myself, I remove Instagram from my phone. I put it on in the morning so I can post something, and then I remove it for the rest of the day so that I'm not constantly just going and checking it. For the same reason, I really want to be present in my life, and I want to even be, especially with having a daughter. I think about, because there's times that we're in the car with her, and I think about myself as a child in the car, and, there were long drives, like my family and I, we drove to Florida, we drove to Washington, D.C. one time, there were these long drives, and what were my brother and I doing in the backseat of the car? Nothing. We were sitting there, maybe listening to music, or my parents are really great about doing like books on tape, but, and they were tapes. But, they were actually
a big box, like 6 tapes, because you had to keep flipping and switching. Definitely.
Exactly. And I think about that. I think about sometimes with, when my daughter's in the car and she's, melting down, she's just a baby. And, sometimes the instinct, my husband will be like, do you want to just let her watch like Sesame Street real quick? And I'm like, no, like she has to learn how to just be with be with it. You know what I mean? Like, she's just fussing. She just like wants to get out of the car, or maybe she's hungry, or maybe she's thirsty. So we'll give her, but I think about that as she grows up as a child, that I don't want her to be in the back seat and be watching something and sort of, because I felt like those hours spent in a car looking out the window were incredibly valuable daydreaming times. And maybe I was bored, maybe I was really bored, but I remember coming up with stories and ideas during that time. And so bringing it back to present day, I find that I want more of that. Like, it's okay to be bored. It's okay to have space. It's okay to sit and sort of like, and do nothing for, 3 minutes, God forbid.
Definitely. Yeah. Cause like I'm huge on this mission of cultivating a conscious generation. And I do feel that the generation of kids before the ones that have come in the last like 2-3 years or so, like they are so connected to their phones, and a lot of them don't know what life is like without it. And my generation's the last generation to really understand what life is like pre and post technology. So I feel like the new wave of kids that are coming through are coming from parents that are a little more awake to what's happening. They're a little more woke. They've been doing the work. Like a lot of them like had this massive transition of figuring out who they were like post 2012. So a lot of people were like really hit with it. And the more and more I talk to my friends that are pregnant or having babies, they're very conscious about the whole talk conversation around like toxic masculinity, and how do we also have, dads or boys allowing boys to cry and not be like, big boys don't cry, like having a lot of these conversations that are also shaping children to allow themselves to express their emotions, what they're feeling, allowing them to be, rather than what the society has kind of said for decades on what it means to be a boy or what it means to be a girl. So I would love to hear what you're feeling with how you're helping navigate and, being able to bring that balance and that education even to your daughter at such a young age.
I mean, it's, I certainly don't, you're as a first time parent, there's so much to navigate, that has like nothing to do with like, should she watch Sesame Street or not? You know what I'm saying? Like,
definitely.
Like especially the first year, you're literally just trying to like do the best you can, survive, make sure that she's fed, like make sure that she's sleeping, like really bare bones, basic things.
Yeah.
So I think it's not, of course, that I don't think about it. Like, of course, I think about it in terms of the products that I use and, the things that we do with her. And, every night when I'm holding her before she goes to bed and I'm nursing her, I'm whispering things in her ear like, you are loved, you are safe, you are powerful, you are perfect. And I'm so glad you chose me as your mom. It makes me emotional to say.
That makes me want to cry.
Yeah. And, I say those things to her every night because I want that to be a part of her, subconscious. I want that to be a part of her. So certainly there are things that I'm doing because they are a part of my life and a part of my own transformation. And then, I think it's when I think like we're just kind of starting to emerge from the cocoon of like newborn land. Now, I mean, she's a toddler now, but now that she's integrating more in society, I think now I'll begin to become aware of some of these choices that I can make and start to instill in her. But hopefully I'm doing them just because that's who I am,
You're
like
doing a great job, Mama.
Thank you. Thank you.
So I want to talk about that, about the power of our words. And when it comes, not even just when it comes to manifestation, but also with our own levels of self-love. A lot of people, like I really try to help people understand, like, don't be like, I'm trying, be like, no, you're doing it, and just really being aware of giving yourself the credit of what you're doing, and I think a lot of us beat ourselves up if we're not seeing the results as rapidly as we want to. Again, being in a social media world where we can Google everything and it's instant now, and the people don't really, I feel like people have forgotten that it takes a process to manifest, and that it's all unfolding as it should on divine time. And it's just like also making sure that your body is able to sustain what it is you're manifesting. So I know your whole book is about mantras in motion and you're very passionate about it. So I just would love for you to talk about the power of words.
Yeah, I mean, I think our words are so important. You know, what we tell ourselves, how we speak to ourselves, you know, in this world of having so many conversations every day on social media, text message, commenting on this, that, and the other, we forget that the most powerful and influential conversation that we have is actually the one we have with ourselves. So we can say that it's the you know, we can say that it's the media, and that's a part of it, most certainly. We could say that it's, you know, the thing that we're seeing on Instagram, and of course that's a part of it because you're seeing it and it's becoming part of your self-conscious, but we need to take some responsibility here. So when you see that thing on Instagram, what are you buying into? What are you believing about it? What are you telling yourself is the truth about what it is that you're seeing? You know, are you seeing somebody's perfect glossy life, and are you saying to yourself, oh, I wish my life were like that, or, you know, their life is so perfect? Well, you need to stop and have a different conversation. You're not having a very deep and profound conversation with yourself. You're having a very reactive conversation, even with yourself. So in that moment, you need to stop and say, you know, wow, they probably do have, you know, some beautiful things happening in their life, and this is a small snippet of it. And they're also human, and they have real shit going on like me. You know, I wonder what that shit is. Like, get curious about what somebody's shit is.
Yeah, let's
Is that,
just talk about our shit. I'm just like,
you know what I mean? But I think we have to really take charge of our inner dialogue, of our inner conversation. You know, I the other day, I just wrote a blog post on this. I was invited to come on to Cheddar TV, which is an online streaming news channel, and talk about the book. And I've been talking about this stuff for, like I said, 10 years. I've hosted a TV show for the past 2 years where I literally have to speak. But it's like, I'm like, this is like media stuff. That is what I do. And I'm telling you that because as I was getting ready to go, I was in this conversation in my head. Like, it went sort of like this. It was like, what should I wear? Should I wear this shirt or that shirt? Oh, wait, I don't think I like either of these shirts. Shit, I don't like this shirt. Oh my God, what am I going to wear? I'm not going to look good on camera. What if I don't know what I'm talking about? What if I don't speak succinctly? What if I sound like an idiot? What if I don't know how to answer their questions? Oh my God. And then sort of that whole dialogue ended, a spiral, and it ended with the statement, I hate this. Why do I do this to myself? Why do I put myself in a position that I have to go on and do media? Okay. And the minute that last beat of the conversation hit the airwaves in my head, I was like, oh, right. This is resistance. This is your brand of resistance. Like, when you get closer, like here I was about to go on, you know, a national online program to talk about a book. So it means I'm getting closer to spreading my message, living my dream, all that good stuff. And the closer I get, the more resistance I face. And for me, my brand of personal resistance, and everyone has their own beautiful, unique brand. My brand is sort of like angry complaining. You know, I get angry complaining, and I get it towards myself. Like, why did you do this to yourself? I hate this, you know? And the minute I sort of dropped into that last beat, I was like, oh, this is resistance. Okay. Mm-hmm. This is what's going on here. But it took me having a level of awareness of my internal conversation to say, okay, this is what's going on. This is my resistance, and sort of switch the channel and switch to a different conversation, a more positive conversation. Oh, I'm powerful. I know what I'm talking about. I was born to do this. I'm an expert. I've been talking about this stuff for 10 years, you know, like get more back into my flow. Because the truth was, is once I arrived at the studio, I was like, oh yeah, like I love this stuff. Like, I'm great at, you know, this is fun for me. This is like what I love to do. But for whatever reason, that 30, 40 minutes, an hour beforehand, I'm like freaking out. And I think this is totally normal, and this is, everybody experiences it. I wrote a chapter on releasing resistance in the book because no matter who you are, whether you're Meryl Streep or, you know, Will Ferrell, you are going to experience resistance as you move closer to your dream. Mm-hmm. And your job is to begin to recognize your brand of resistance, your internal conversation, and find ways. And of course, I give ways in the book to work with it so that you can flow into action and movement.
Incredible. Yeah. And even that resistance, because it's coming up to be healed and transmuted, it's an opportunity for you to infuse that self-love for yourself and to listen to what you need. And maybe that resistance is coming back from a trigger from something of your past where you were told you weren't enough, you know, as a kid, maybe on the schoolyard or whatever it is. Like, those are always periods of understanding that resistance is coming up for you and it's not happening to you. And I think Absolutely. That's a huge mind shift too, is being able to understand like, okay, this is happening because this is part of, like you said, the next stage of my evolution, the next stage of me actualizing and experiencing what it is I want. And I think, again, it goes back to presence. It's that opportunity for you to just be present with like that inner child within you and letting yourself know like, hey, it's okay. And listening to what it has to say, and then sharing like, well, is that really true? You know,
That's right.
you know, and I think a lot more people, as you do the work, it becomes, you can switch quicker, you know, it's
That's
like
right.
that everyone, like you said, everyone experiences. The difference is as you've done the journey and you've done the work, you can shift out of it quicker. So you're not in that spiral for like days, months, weeks. You know what I mean? Like I think that's
Absolutely.
part of the thing that people also have to understand, is that like in a world where we see everyone's like highlight reel, like we're all just doing our best. We all have our own shit that we're working through. And that's something I'm passionate about, is just to help people like honor all facets of their human experience and know that it's okay to be vulnerable and real when those moments come, and that it's fine. Like it's not going to fuck up your manifestation. If anything, it's just that opportunity for you to like learn the lesson.
Totally. Yep. Absolutely.
It's your opportunity to heal. So I also want to ask, when you have those moments, like I know you're passionate also about stream of conscious writing. So would you say that that's a huge part of what you do to proclaim that you're ready to like transmute that, what you want? Like how have you seen that helping you overcome resistance and overcome the challenges or the blocks that we face as we're in the process of actualizing our desires?
Yeah, I think for me, journaling has been huge. Stream of conscious writing has been huge. I've been doing the morning pages, which are, Julia Cameron talks about it in her book, The Artist's Way. And I've been doing them since I was 18 years old. I have books and books full of morning pages that you don't really go back and read them, but it's basically 3 pages of stream of conscious writing. Nowadays, I am lucky if I can get in like 1 or 1.5 pages just because of time. They don't always happen right first thing in the morning, that's for sure. But they still are, yeah, it's a way to clear. It's my form of meditation. I like to do meditation. I've been doing now more meditation in the evening to help me unwind for bed. But I find that writing in the morning is really a powerful form of meditation. And quite honestly, the first, half of a page, 3/4 of the page, sometimes the whole first page is just total crap. It's like nothing, it doesn't make sense. I'm just writing, I'm tired, I don't feel like doing this, I've got nothing good to say. And I kind of just keep going with that until you get to like a little nugget and you start to kind of clear the cobwebs from the brain, the mind, the body. And I think some really powerful things could emerge. So I'm a huge advocate of the morning pages. You'll hear me talk about them again and again when people are like, what's a good tool? Like I have like 3 tools, and that is always one that I would offer people.
Incredible. Yeah. And then it's amazing what you find. I remember my professor in college, he had us do that before every class.
Oh, that's great. Yeah.
Yeah. It was my social psychology class, and he had
Wow.
us, yeah, because I have my minor in sociology. So he had us do that before every class. And like he would hit his like Tibetan bowl, and we'd have to go and meditate and focus on what we wanted and then journal.
It's amazing. I mean, so the reason when I started doing it, like I said, I was about 18 years old, and came to New York to do a dance program. And at the time I was this, small dancer in this big world of really incredible dancers. And I was so intimidated, quite frankly, by all this talent that was around me. And I would, kind of be in the room and feel intimidated. And I felt like I wasn't getting the combinations and I wasn't picking things up fast enough. And I would, so what I did, I would write in my morning pages every day before I went to dance class. And I would write everything from, I pick up combinations easily and effortlessly. I see movement and I get it. I stand at the front of the room. I feel confident in my body. I see movement and I get it. I pick up combinations easily and effortlessly. And I transformed as a dancer that summer by doing those morning pages before I went, because what happened is I would clear out all the stuff before I went into class, so that when I got to class, I was present. I was available. There was none of that internal dialogue that we've been talking about that was sort of blocking my view from receiving the information from the teacher. And, I cleared out those blocks so that I was really there and available, so that I could really see movement and then put it into my body very quickly. And it became one of my greatest strengths as a dancer. So I think that's awesome your teacher had you do that. I recommend people do that before a class, before an audition, before a meeting, before they want to write a blog post, before they write. Like, it's a warm up. It's a warm up.
Because you get all the shit out of the way. So then you're like prime time, like in that space, and you're already in that consciousness, that you can allow yourself to be that vessel where you're sharing your medicine and you're sharing your truth.
Yeah.
So when you first started as a dancer, did you know that this would be what you wanted to do?
I have always been so I started dancing from a very young age, and I love dance. It was something that my mom never, made me do. She always gave me the option. I always wanted to go. I always wanted to go to dance class. I always wanted to keep doing more things and keep doing more shows and more classes. And when it came time to go to college, it was like, do I study dance in college? But what do you do with what do you do with a degree in dance? Like, what do you do with that? And the decision to go and study dance in college was really based on, well, this is what I want to do right now. I want to dance now. And I didn't necessarily, and people would say, well, what are you going to do with a degree in dance? And I would be like, what are you going to do with it? I don't have an answer for you. I don't know. All I know is that I want to dance. So I'll figure it out. And that's really been my motto for life. Like, I will figure it out as I go, and I will continue. I am committed to following my joy. And for me, joy was dancing for a very long time. I still love to dance. And as I got closer to graduation, I was like, oh, I want to dance for a company. That is what I want. That's what'll bring me joy. So I had auditions, and I got picked to dance with a company. And then I was like, I want to dance in New York City. That's what's going to bring me joy. So then I moved to New York City, and I danced here. And I was like, oh, you know what would really bring me joy? I have more to say than just dancing. I want to move into acting. And so I started taking acting classes. Then I got an agent, and I started doing film and television. And so I just have continued to just follow my joy. And, as an actor, as an artist, like, one thing I always said to myself was, I will do, because a career in the arts is very hard, as anyone knows. And it's you do it because you love it. And I always said to myself, I will do this for as long as it brings me joy. And there was a turning point when I was kind of starting my business, and my business was starting to take off. And I was at an audition, and I was like, I have emails to get to. Like, I have money to go make, and I'm sitting here at this audition waiting for you to tell me that I can use my talent. I don't like that anymore. All of a sudden, the process of getting a job and procuring a job in the arts was not joyful for me anymore. And that's when I really kind of made the transition out of it. So no, the long answer to your question is, I had no idea what I was doing or where I was headed. I still don't, but I continue to follow my joy, and I continue to follow what lights me up and what makes me excited. And, so far so good.
Those have been the seeds though, and I think that's what a lot of people have to understand is the way the journey unfolds doesn't matter, like, what brought you joy, what your passions were. There's a purpose behind that. And it's tying into how you're here to serve. And we serve by radiating our joy. We serve by shining our light and our exuberance. And I think that the follow your joy is a lot. And I think a lot of people, we've been so conditioned as a society of like kind of taming that down. And now it's great that people are finding ways to make profit off of their joy, thanks to online world. And it's interesting because I know you've, like you said, you've been in this path for 10 years. So you've seen how the online sector has shifted. And like I was talking about earlier, like, I feel like Instagram is kind of it's gonna be there, but I feel like it's kind of not gonna be as prevalent. After a 40-day sabbatical, what I really heard was like, don't put all your eggs in one basket. So I know you're really passionate too about email lists and your journey of like really being able to share your message through email lists and understanding that those are the people that want to take it a step further than just double tapping on Instagram. So what have you
Yeah.
seen with email
You
lists?
know, it's that is a really big conversation that I don't know that I have the a surefire answer on this one. It's my husband runs um, a media company that specializes in a lot of social media and data, but from a big data perspective. So I do get a lot of background information on, what Facebook is doing, what Instagram is doing, what these platforms are doing, where they're headed, how they're growing. And Instagram in particular is growing leaps and bounds like every day. So, um, you know, I do strongly believe that your email list is your, that's your goals right there. But I don't know how it's going to change. I don't know. I don't know what the young people, I was in a meeting just yesterday with a bunch of CEOs of very big companies, multi-million-dollar companies. And they were talking about the fact that like there are younger people who are working in the company from like, 26 to maybe 34, like don't ever check their emails. Like they just don't check their emails. So I was like, well, how are you communicating with them? And they're trying to find better ways to communicate with their employees. And so I think for anyone listening who is an entrepreneur, I would 100% say build your email list. I think you can't go wrong. And I think, like any sort of investment that you're making, you want to diversify a little bit. So spend time on a social media that does bring you joy that you like. If it's Instagram, I definitely think Instagram's not going anywhere anytime soon. Like you saw a very big rise of Snapchat and now you see a decline of it. Instagram has only continued to rise. So obviously Facebook was rising too. And then they had a lot of data breach stuff. And so that's kind of put a little bit of a, but Instagram is continuing to rise. How people use it, how people will interact with their people moving forward, it's hard to say. But I can also give you one more tidbit of information from do any kind of ads, which we have done. You got to experiment with different kind of paid advertising. When we do advertising, we've done advertising on Facebook and advertising on Instagram. And even though we will collect leads on Instagram, our Facebook advertising will always convert to sales so much higher.
Interesting.
And I don't know if that's because the audience is a little bit older and more affluent and has more money, and they're like they're more there spending time. And like you said, Instagram is like a double tap and a scroll. But certainly our advertising pays off a lot more in Facebook. So I don't know.
When I'm talking about the shift of Instagram, I'm just talking about, like you said, like you put it on, you post, and then you delete the app. I think there's still that power, but a lot of people are also realizing like how addicted the addiction to social media. And again, it goes back to presence. I think a lot of people are craving that presence, and with the algorithm changes, especially if you have like a product-based business, things like that. It's just really, like I said, that's why I think it's really interesting. And I know for me, I'm focusing a lot more on emails too, just because I can share more, you can share more.
You've got more control, and you land directly in somebody's inbox, whether or not they open, that's another issue, but at least you're getting their eyeballs. And to your point with Instagram, the algorithm, you don't always know what's being served up and based on what. So I still am very much building my email. That's like an effort that we won't ever stop doing until email like explodes and doesn't exist anymore.
The explosion of email. Bye-bye. Yeah. Very interesting. Yeah. I mean, it's just with the new year, I'm really looking forward to seeing business trends this year and seeing how things are shifting. So I have my degree in marketing. So I've been like really paying attention to this for like the past 12 years and being able to see, like, I remember like I had Instagram before it was like Instagram, like I think I did my first post in 2010. And it was at a concert or at Disneyland with like a shitty ass filter and like blurry. And I was like, something like that. But yeah, I mean, like I said, I'm just really fascinated to see how people are working with these tools to really share their medicine and to share their message. And there has been a lot of transformation of people through Instagram. Like I know just from my own experience, like I get messages every day about the podcast or Instagram. So I do feel like it's gonna, like I said, it's just gonna be really interesting to watch and to
Yeah.
see. And like even the rise of like audiobooks, I feel like we're becoming auditory too, in
Yeah,
terms of
definitely.
hearing things. And so is your
Yeah.
book on audiobook?
Oh yeah, girl.
Okay, good.
Yeah, of
Good.
course. Of course. Yeah, I narrated it, and actually, well, we were giving away the audiobook for free when you purchased the book, but it may come back as a bonus. So if you are listening or watching this, go check out erinstutland.com/book. And depending on when you listen to it, you know, it'll
Mhm.
come and go. The bonus will will bring it back and take it away and bring it back a couple times in the next couple months. So might still be
Amazing.
there.
So
But you
talk
can get it
about
on, but you can get it on Audible, even if, you know,
the audible path is the way to go, most definitely. So I have one more question before we go into these quick ones. I want to know, like, what were some of the pivotal game-changing moments that really gave you the strength, the courage, the wisdom, and the tenacity to create Mantras in Motion?
um, I think, you know, I really just am passionate about helping people create movement in their bodies and movement in their lives. And I don't think that it has to be hard. I'm really also passionate about making it easy for people. And I don't mean easy like uh, don't do the work, like you don't do the work. But I think doing the work can feel easy, and I think it can feel joyful. And I want people to feel that joy in their lives and have fun doing it. You know, it doesn't have to be it can be, but it doesn't have to be a 30-day Vipassana meditation retreat. It can be that, but it
Mm-hmm.
doesn't have to be that. To create that change, it doesn't have to be that. And so I really wanted to give people some really excellent tools that they could use on a daily basis to help shift that inner conversation and create that movement in their body, so that, again, these concepts are not intellectualized and they are physicalized and embodied.
Beautiful. Okay, so now quick questions. What is your current mantra?
Well, my current mantra, actually, I just put together a small video for my publisher for Hay House for their audience, and it is around resistance. And it is I release resistance, I allow joy to flow, I'm connected to my power, and I'm stronger than I know.
And so it is, and it is so. That's great. Amazing. Okay, so what would you say is a really powerful like symbol or like spirit animal totem that you know that reminds you you're right on track?
Oh, that's a really good question. You know, for me, it's there's not one thing, it changes. So I find I'm right on track when I write about something in the morning and then I see some sort of reflection of that, like a glimpse or glimmer of it that day. So it's not, I don't have one thing, like I don't have a totem or an animal or anything, but I feel like when I say it or speak it or think it, and then it shows up in some form, whether a sign or somebody says something to me, then I'm like, okay, yeah, we're on track.
Beautiful. All right, what would you say to younger Erin?
I would tell her that you are doing great. You are you are more powerful than you realize. You
Mhm.
are more talented than you give yourself credit for, and do not, under any circumstances, sell yourself short.
Definitely. So what would you say has been like the most profound book that you've read that changed your life?
I mean, I think the two main books are The Artist's Way was a huge pivot point for me, and then You Can Heal Your Life by Louise Hay.
That's like a go-to for me. Like I just go
Yeah,
back to it. That's a
yeah,
reference book.
she's an angel, and she's amazing, and I'm like very honored to be a part of the Hay House family with the book.
Incredible. Massive. Yeah, I lived in San Diego, so I could feel a lot of that energy from Hay House and being in
Nice.
Carlsbad. And yeah, for sure.
Yeah, cool.
I'm really grateful for her for really being a pioneer for the
Yeah,
wellness
yeah.
world.
I know. She really opened up the space for a lot of healing for a lot of people.
Yes, amazing. So if there's something that we didn't cover that is like itching in your soul to share with the audience of whoever needs to hear this little nugget of wisdom or love or whatever is coming up for you, what would you have to say?
I mean, I think we covered a lot of ground here. I would say though that it's go for a walk. That's what I would say. And I know that sounds really simple, but go for a walk every day. Treat yourself to a soul stroll. Take yourself out for a walk, get fresh air, move your body, put one foot in front of the other, and see what shifts for you. Use the body that you've been given in a loving, beautiful, gentle way, as simple as a walk, and truly watch your life transform if you do that.
I love that. Amazing. So where can we find you? And you've got your TV show, you've got your book, you've got all these multi-passionate Gemini things happening.
Yeah.
Where can we find you?
You can come to erinstutland.com, and obviously the book, you'll see it there, but you can go to erinstutland.com/book. I am on Instagram part of the day, as I just explained, at erin.stutland. Certainly you can find me there, and I do use it. And I do sometimes I'll keep it on because I want to do stories, during the day. And I'm on Facebook as well. You can look at Erin Stutland. Those are the main places to find me.
Amazing. Well, congratulations, and thank you for leading the way and showing how it can be possible to be a new mama, a goddesspreneur who's slaying the game, the business professional, and just someone who really honors and respects themselves, and just really allowing yourself to set that tone and pave the road for other mamas out there who are building their business and doing the work. I just really appreciate you, and thank you so much for this conversation.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. So go check out Erin. She's got all the goods and all the deets, and you can check the show notes below for all of her links as well. And we'll be hearing from you soon. Take care.